I hate seeing you like this, so I'm flexing my eyes real hard to keep from crying. It's okay. We can still have a normal conversation. So, how's the food?
The Cyclops will drown you in your overwatered lawns.
Oh, David. Could be worse. You guys could be a total power failure.
Eat glass.
It's the Al Travis Show. We've got with us today Representative Tim O'Driscoll. Always a pleasure to have him on. Representative, how you doing, sir?
Doing well. Happy, I guess we can't say FB what it really means. So happy big game weekend to you because you don't want to pay any royalties.
Yeah, thank you for that. Are you a big Super Bowl guy?
You know, we are going to get together. There's a group of us that will get together and be at one of our friends' houses on Sunday afternoon and kind of watch it. And I've just got to believe that it's going to really not be they'll be there in spirit, but they won't be there in game, and that's the Patriots. Unfortunately, I think the Seahawks are unstoppable this year, but we shall see on Sunday.
Well, and that's where my money's at. I just happen to like Darnold. I think he got kind of a bum rap. First, he was going from team to team to team. He was a first-round draft pick. Going team to team, never get his shot. He comes here and wins 14 ball games for us, and that wasn't enough. And I get it. You pick your poison. But then he goes to Seattle, gets paid. You can't blame a guy for going for $100 million, buddy. You make the call. He goes, wins them 14 games. He's got 2 wins under his belt in the playoffs. As long as he doesn't lay an egg on Sunday, I think they win, and he's got that monkey off his back. It may make us look even more foolish for letting him go. But isn't he the underdog story of this playoffs?
He is definitely the featured story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he is, from rags to riches on this.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, what has happened in the Minnesota Vikings organization since Darnold's release and now being with the Seahawks is there are a lot of people who have potential right now that just want to play one season. Just give me one season with the Vikings and then trade me because they know they're going to play.
They're going to get huge money. It's a good point.
In the Super Bowl.
Now, on a personal level, when you go to someone's home for a Super Bowl party, do you bring something, and do you have like a go-to that you bring when you go? Are you like, I bring the wings?
So here's how I do it. If I'm hosting, it's like, here's what we're doing, filling around that, right?
Okay.
Otherwise, I stand back and I'll go, what else? To the host, I'll go, what do you think we need that we don't have? Because it's like, you know what? The truth be known, I'm buying whatever I'm bringing, so it doesn't matter what I'm buying.
Oh, so you're not making a guy. Okay, that's kind of what I want to know. You tell me what I need to stop at the Holiday Quick Strip for and pick up. Okay, fair enough.
I will step it up from that. I won't, gas station food, I wouldn't feed that to my friends. I'm sorry.
Okay, fair enough. But you're picking it up. That's what I want to know. I want you like a go-to. You have a chicken wing recipe that everybody dies for or something like that. That's fine. Good for you. Let me ask you a quick question that, is there something you all can do when you get back to the legislature here in, 10 days, that can help get our voter rolls to the U.S. government? Here's where I'm coming in. Oh, it's going to be controversial. Minnesota has actually been suing to not give their voter rolls up, and I find that very interesting. There's nothing in my voter roll. If you gave Al's voter roll to the federal government, there's nothing they get they don't already have. They assigned me my Social Security number. My address is on the same one that I fill out for my, my taxes, my name and birthday. What is it that they get that we're so scared that they're going to get? The only thing I can see is they're concerned that they're going to find folks that shouldn't be on there.
And that's exactly it, right? Let's roll this back and kind of tie some things together that have been happening out there. Number one, when Operation what did the feds call it through Homeland Security, Metro Roundup or something like that or whatever.
Metro Surge.
Yes. And so that took the focus and the attention off of fraud and what was going on. Woven in that is all the folks that have been picked up and have been processed. The federal government is just asking a very simple question. How many people are there on the voter roll? We want to take a look at that. And the first thing they're going to do is they're going to compare the voter roll against the people that were picked up, finding out those, how many people actually didn't vote. And if you happen to be the Secretary of State or you happen to be people who are in this little cabal of activity, that's the last thing you want to have happen. So what do? You pivot to ICE bad, the Donald Trump bad, Donald Trump and what's going on and the Gestapo and this, which by the way, I do not condone using for a drop line, Gestapo and, Nazis and this kind of stuff. People went through living hell and lost people in Germany.
Yeah.
And to not have those terms to just be bantered around as talking points and the like. This is not a Gestapo situation. And if Hennepin and Ramsey County and the state of Minnesota would cooperate, and local law enforcement would cooperate, you wouldn't have this. We're on our own in a foreign land, if you will, trying to figure out who these folks are. And they're doing a job because Trump was elected, right? On I'm going to close the border. Every stop he talked about the border. So it's not like all of a sudden he's shifting from his plans. Like Donald Trump or not, that's your choice, right? But the man did run on this, and he's keeping his promise. Which in other conversations, people say, "Oh, politicians never keep their promise." Well, this one is keeping his promise on this particular topic, and it's certainly causing a little bit of a firestorm.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Hennepin County and Ramsey County especially. Evidently, Tom Homan, who came here to soften things up and make things better, had a meeting with the Sheriff's Association, the group of them. I don't know how this all works. Gets together, and he says, we came to pretty much common ground. We're going to be able to work with the sheriffs in these counties, and they're going to do it the way we used to do it. Instead of 16 of my officers picking somebody off the streets, we'll get them when they're in jail. Only need 2, because we know he's not armed, and we'll get him out of here. Then Ramsey and Hennepin County come out and say, well, we're not playing that game. That's not for us. We don't want to ruin anybody's rights. Then the story today, and this is the reason I want to bring it up, because as much as I want anybody to read the Star and Tribune, in the Star and Tribune today, they did an article about Hennepin County that during the Obama presidency, not only did Obama help ICE had an office in Hennepin County's jail so that they could interview people when they came in and found out if they were legal here or not. That's the level of cooperation. Obama got out like 3 million people. Trump's sitting here trying to get 10K out of Minneapolis. Can people not see the difference? This was 8 years ago. We had an ICE office in Hennepin County, and now we won't even help out. And you see the difference the way things are going in Hennepin County?
You bring up a very good point. I'm going to comment with another idea on this.
Okay.
So back in the day, let's not lose track, folks, of the fact that Tim Walz and Keith Ellison both represented Minnesota, a congressional district in Congress.
Yep.
And at those times, they were involved in budgets and what was going on. I haven't gone back to look, but I think it's a legitimate question to ask. What did you vote for this? Did you vote for changes? Did you vote as this office was developing? Further back, Klobuchar started in 2007, right? She raised her right hand in January and took oath of office. I'm going to be willing to bet that post 2002, I think, is when ICE actually started getting formed, or right around there. So she's been around for the most of the existence of ICE. I wonder if she's changed her opinion on ICE and is voting differently on ICE-related issues from when we first brought this. Because every president has taken illegal people out of this country.
Yep.
The only one that's having to take the brunt of this and having to have a lot more fanfare on this happens to be Donald Trump. And I'm wondering if it isn't the fact that it's Donald Trump and not Joe Biden or not George W. Bush or not Joe Biden, Obama, right on down the line. And I think it's elevated. And that's why I never jump to conclusions on things with people. I always just say, let's let the facts play themselves out.
I don't disagree with you. I do know that at least recently, since she got into the governor's race, Senator Klobuchar has come out and said she wants ICE out of Minnesota. She would just like him out of here. So, I mean, she's tacking a little farther to the left, but I think she has to. We can talk a little about that in a moment. I've got to go to break. You bring up the voter rolls. Steve Simon, Secretary of State, says, we got great voter rolls. These things are perfect, but he won't give them up. And I want to know why. And on the other side of the break, if you don't mind, this SAVE Act seems to be gaining a lot of momentum, and I'll even lead with it. CNN came out and did a poll and said that's like 76% of all Americans would like a photo ID to vote in America. I want to talk your thoughts on that right after this on the Al Travis Show.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck, because that's exactly who we are, your friends at the Capitol, and we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Think about it. Now that school's back in session, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on the Al Travis Show.
And we've got him, our good friend, Representative Tim O'Driscoll, on the program. Representative, go to break. The SAVE Act, this is where they're going to, federal law, going to talk about having a photo ID to vote as a federal law. And there seems to be quite a little bit of resistance. The Democrats even say they will filibuster this bad boy if they have to. But when CNN did a poll on it, they find that 76% of all Americans, white, blacks, left and right, on average, 76% want to have that happen. Why does it not? How does anybody stand up against it if that many people are for it?
To be an individual that has a predisposition to committing fraud or fraudulent behavior, and you want to protect that. This is your world war right now, right? This is the war of all wars, because if you lose this one and people have to have IDs, you can't just say, well, this person's my neighbor and I'll vouch for them without any other documentation. That person may or may not be a resident and ineligible to vote. They may or not be a resident of the community eligible to vote if they are, a U.S. citizen and having the rights to be able to vote. What's happening is 76% of Americans, right, want this. What we are so used to being infiltrated in Minnesota is what Minnesota is, what Minnesota is doing, what Minnesota is doing, what Minnesota is doing. That is not reflective of what the nation wants right now. And so if you are a party that relies on votes coming from other areas that may or may not be legal, it's an assault on your way of doing business. Okay. And again, I think if we do get the records from the Secretary of State of Minnesota and compare that against the pickup and incarceration that ICE did, there's going to be a Venn diagram where there's going to be overlap on those names. I just have to believe that.
It'd be interesting.
And when I first came in the legislature, we wanted to have a photo ID amendment to our Constitution here in Minnesota. That would have been 16 years ago. Not quite 16 years, about 14 years ago in the 2012 ballot. is when that appeared. So, and that was beat down soundly by the people of the state of Minnesota. So we need to think about the fact that Minnesota does not reflect the national view on this topic.
What could
It
Minnesota,
is a microcosmic view.
if this gets passed, what could Minnesota do about it? What I mean by that is Minnesota has already spent the last 3 years giving out photo IDs, driver's license to non-citizens. So how would we even do that? You couldn't just use your driver's license. It would have to be an enhanced driver's license, whatever they call the new one, the real ID. How would we even get around that when we have so many people walking around with an ID in their pocket we gave them?
Yeah, and they're in, that's a secondary or tertiary issue that exists or comes about as a result of this. We had wanted to change the driver's license in Minnesota for persons who were not, if we have to give driver's licenses, it should look different than the driver's license than a U.S. citizen has. And we do different driver's licenses for people who are under the age of 21.
Yeah.
We do different driver's licenses for folks like that. But somehow, as soon as you start talking about, well, we really don't want to alienate and offend, people who aren't here legally by giving them a different type of driver's license, because it's just easier then for law enforcement to know about those. Exactly, right? And there's a reason for that. And the number one reason for that is why we have IDs for people who are under the age of 21, because we don't want people violating the law, buying alcohol or tobacco or other kinds of things. So we make it, hey, this is a different ID than I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
Break my level of awareness as the clerk, or it's the same thing in the
voter booth,
voting realm, or wherever it's going to be. So, if we do see that, we're going to end up having to go back and call our voter rolls on that to get those folks out with a different type of ID or license on that.
I would. I would say that this idea that they're going to try to filibuster this thing, and what happens in the Senate, the U.S., if they threaten the filibuster, we just cave, we never do anything. I say let them talk. If you can talk for 3-4 straight days, 24/7, and come up with some sort of actual argument about the SAVE Act, I would actually like to hear it. So I say let them try to do that. I want to give you go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I just think that would be interesting to do that, right?
Yeah.
We had a 35+ day government shutdown over insurance credits and things.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that my conversations here in Minnesota, working with them, it's like, you really need to start doing some of the stuff we've been talking about, because we had a federal government shutdown for 35 days that was on this issue that the Democrats raised on insurance. Let them filibuster. It will be on the news that this is what's going on, and that may also be something that works against the Democrats, because the home folks will call and say, you vote for this, I want you to vote for it. So they better be careful what they ask for.
All right, with the last 2 minutes, because it came up here in Minnesota, and I presume, because I believe, isn't Speaker of the House Dameth on the other side of your district?
He is. Senate District 13, Jeff Howe is a senator, retiring senator. I'm retiring, and Lisa's retiring as well if she does not make governor. But she is the opposite side of my district.
Your thoughts on how the caucuses went, the straw poll, no one's held to that, but she kind of kicked butt, right? I mean, she came in first by, I think, 30% over number 2, which was Kendall Qualls, and almost 50% over the third place, which was Lindell. You got to think it was a resounding caucus day for her?
Yeah, momentum is definitely behind the Dameth campaign right now, and they have been working hard, and she's got some alliances with some folks that are pushing for her and stuff. So not surprised by that result at all. What I am surprised is that with everything that's going on, that we had what I would consider to be lower voter turnout or caucus participation turnout this time around. There were a lot more people that were at my precinct caucuses than would be in a gubernatorial year, because the presidential year you usually have a lot more people. But I would say we probably had 100 to 110 people probably at where I was at. Maybe that's a little high, but for sure high 70s to 100 somewhere in there. I didn't do a head count, but that was full.
How long do you think, just with the last 30 seconds, until some of the others fall out? The governor's race has, I think, 14 people still in it. I named the top 3, and it really falls off after that as far as the straw poll. Is that enough to make this wean some of their own off?
I think that will happen. I think you'll start seeing announcements next week, and I don't know if they'll be covered by the media as so-and-so is pulling out, but I think you'll see people exiting at that point, because in about 2.5, 3 weeks, we're going to be starting with endorsing conventions, which those folks will be delegates, get voted on to be delegates to go to decide who's going to get the endorsement at the state convention, which will happen in May.
All right. I appreciate you, as always, Representative, coming on the program and chatting with us. You're a good friend of the show, and I thank you for being here.
Yep, sounds good. And may your team win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. May your team always be in your favor, or whatever it is. All right, we'll talk to you.
So who you picking?
Oh, me, I'm going with Sam Darnold. I got to get the old red my nod. All right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're on the money there. So all right,
I got to fly. We'll talk.
Yeah, bye.
Chanhassen Dinner Theatres proudly presents Guys and Dolls, packed with comedy, romance, dazzling dance numbers, and unforgettable characters. This